Hospitals are strange at night. It's not because of the sickness or even the deaths. Those are expected. It's the stillness that unnerves you. Machines beep, vents hum, lights flicker, all mechanical, predictable. But between those sounds, there's this thin, visible quiet that seems to stretch across every corridor. Like the building itself is holding its breath. That's the silence Aaron Briggs learned to live with after 15 years on night shift at St. John's Regional. A mid-sized hospital in Maine that everyone swore was haunted but nobody ever admitted to fearing. Aaron didn't believe in ghosts. She believed in exhaustion, caffeine, and paychecks, and those in her experience were the real gods of the night shift. Her rounds started at midnight, as usual. She liked this part of the night when most patients were asleep, and the hallway lights were dimmed to a soft gold glow. It felt less like a hospital and more like a limbo floating between days. At 12:17 a.m., a call light blinked on her board. Room 37. That room had been empty since Tuesday. She frowned, checked her roster. Yes, 37 was marked vacant, maintenance pending. A cracked tile in the bathroom, no active patient. She turned off the call light manually. It went out. Not even a minute later, it flicked back on. Faulty wire, she muttered, noting it down. Something about the timing, the way it blinked just as she looked away, made her uneasy. Around 1 a.m., she decided to check anyway. The floor was quiet. The only sound came from an old man's ventilator in 312, hissing rhythmically. When she reached 37, the door was slightly ajar. Not wide open, just cracked enough to see the glow of the bedside monitor through the gap. Her heart gave a small, inexplicable jump. The monitor shouldn't have been on. She pushed the door open. The room was cold. Colder than the hallway, unnaturally so. It's the kind of cold that settles in your chest first. The air smelled faintly like antiseptic and something older. Dust, maybe, or rusted iron. The bed was made neatly untouched. But the monitor was active, green line pulsing steady. 72 BPM. Aaron stepped closer. Her shoes squeaked against the tile. Maintenance forgot to unplug it again, she muttered, reaching for the power cord, but froze when she noticed something in the bed. A shape under the blanket, not big. The faint outline of shoulders, a head. Someone lying perfectly still. Hello? Don't answer. The monitor beeped again. 72B. PM steady, strong. She reached for the blanket corner and pulled it down. There was no one there. The blanket was puffed up by nothing but air. Pillow had an indent, like a head had been resting there. And when she checked the chart clipboard at the end of the bed, her breath caught. The name was written there. Shaky handwriting, dark ink, fresh. James Holloway, admitted 1103. Status, observation. Aaron frowned. James Holloway had been her patient last week. He died 3 days ago. She'd been the one to call time of death. She backed away from the bed slowly. It's feeling that subtle static charge that sometimes creeps up your arms when you stand too close to an unplugged monitor. A hum that isn't electrical, but something else. The monitor flatlined. Then, softly, the call light blinked again. Aaron turned to leave, but stopped when she heard it. The faintest whisper, like air moving through a dry throat. It came from the bedside intercom, the speaker patients used to call nurses at the desk, the same one connected to her call board. Nurse, I need help. Oh. Her pulse slammed against her ribs. That voice gravelly, tired, she knew it. It was James Holloway. She'd heard him speak those exact words before he coded last week. James, she said before she could stop herself. Cold. Too cold. The monitor let out a faint double beep. Heartbeat returning to 72 BPM. Erin stumbled backward and ran out of the room, her shoes echoing down the hallway. At the nurse's station, the call light for 307 blinked faster now, a steady strobe like a heartbeat itself. And beneath the noise of the monitors, she swore she could hear something else. A second heartbeat, slow, human, coming from inside the wall. She hit the intercom override, muttering maintenance. "Third floor, you'd better get up here, 37's glitching again." No answer. She waited. And then through the static came that same voice, faint but deliberate. "You left me here, Erin." Erin didn't sleep the day after the voice. She couldn't. She told herself it was just stress, maybe an audio feedback loop, a bad connection between call systems. But that night, as soon as she stepped into St. John's, she felt it again, that wrong, heavy pressure in the air. Hospitals at night always felt haunted.
But this felt personal.
By 11:30 p.m., the halls were empty except for the buzz of ceiling lights and the faint scuff of her sneakers. She passed room 37 without looking in, determined not to think about it. But when she reached the nurse's station, she froze. The call light for 37 blinked once, paused,
then blinked again.
Perfectly timed like a heartbeat. Her stomach clenched. She checked the log again, still vacant. She picked up the phone and called maintenance. "Third floor, room 37 again," she said. "Lights faulty." A pause, then a tired voice. "Ma'am, 37's disconnected. We pulled that panel out 2 days ago." Erin felt something slide cold through her veins. "Then what's blinking on my board?" No answer, just static. Then the line went dead.
The storm outside had grown louder, wind slapping against the glass, rain running in sheets down the windows.
The storm outside had grown louder, wind slapping against the glass, rain running in sheets down the windows. When the thunder cracked, the hallway lights flickered again. And during one of those flickers, she saw it. A figure standing at the far end of the corridor, thin, still barely visible in the dark. She blinked, and it was gone, her heart hammered, breath short. She told herself it was just reflection, a trick of her own shadow. But then she heard it again, faint, wet breathing. Coming from room 37, she walked toward it slowly, her flashlight trembling in her hand. The door was closed this time. Something scratched faintly from inside, a dry, dragging sound. She gripped the handle. "Hello?" The noise stopped. The power went out. For a moment, the entire floor was black. The emergency lights kicked on, dull red bulbs that made the hallway look like it was underwater. The door to 37 creaked open on its own. Her flashlight beam wobbled as she stepped inside. The air was freezing again, her breath visible in front of her. The monitor was still on, faint green glow, pulsing. 72 BPM. The bed was empty, but there was a wet print on the floor, the shape of a bare foot. Then another. They led from the bed to the corner, where the wall socket had been removed for maintenance. The call cord, the one the patients used to reach the nurses, was plugged into the open socket. It hung there, swaying slowly, as if something had just been holding it. The monitor beeped again, twice fast, then flatlined. Erin's voice shook. "James." From somewhere deep inside the wall came the sound of air moving through vents but not mechanical. It sounded like breathing. She stepped back. Her shoe hit something, a file folder. She bent down and picked it up. It was old, dusty, the edges browned. Her name was written across the top. Briggs, Aaron, attending nurse, case 37. Inside were forms, signatures, reports. One line caught her eye. The cause of death, heart failure during code event. Patient left unattended during resuscitation due to shift emergency. Her throat tightened. That wasn't true. She hadn't left him. She'd been there. She'd done compressions until her arms went numb, but she remembered something else. The lights had flickered during the code. The power had cut out for a second, and she'd looked away. And when the lights came back, his eyes had been open. Looking straight at her, the intercom crackled again, soft at first, then stronger. You left me. Aaron dropped the folder. The monitor lit up on its own, green lines spiking, forming a heartbeat again. 72 BPM. The sheet on the bed started to move. Slowly, it rose, like air was filling it. A hollow chest, a face forming beneath the fabric. She wanted to run, but her legs wouldn't move. The voice came again, louder now, from every speaker on the floor. I was the last patient you ever left behind. Then the power surged, lights flashing white, and for a split second, she saw him, James Holloway. Skin pale, lips purple, eyes wide open, and full of glassy hate. He was standing in the wall, half-phased, like electricity had burned him there. The lights went out again. They flicked back on. The room was empty. No heartbeat, no monitor, no prints, just silence. Erin stumbled out into the hall, chest heaving. Her radio hissed with static. She turned it up, hoping to hear anyone maintenance, Margot, anyone human. Instead, the voice whispered one last time, lights off, shift over. And the call light for room 37 went dark. At 6 a.m., the day nurse found Aaron sitting in the corridor, staring at the wall outlet. When they asked what happened, she just said, he called again. They sent her home for a few days. She never came back. 3 weeks later, St. John's officially decommissioned room 37, but some nights, when the power flickers during storms, the board at the nurse's station still lights up one steady red pulse. 307 call, light active.